Recently, the situation in Syria has undergone drastic changes, to which China pays great attention. China has long pursued a policy of friendship and cooperation with Syria, not interfering in Syria's internal affairs and respecting the choice of the Syrian people. We sincerely hope that Syria will achieve peace and restore stability as soon as possible, and we're ready to play a constructive role to that end. I wish to share the following 4 points. First, it's imperative to stabilize the security situation. We call on all parties concerned in Syria to exercise calm and restraint, refrain from actions that may escalate the situation, and prevent new conflicts. All parties are obliged to take measures to prohibit attacks against civilians and to protect the security of diplomatic missions and foreign nationals. We hope that Syria's state institutions will remain operational to create conditions for the restoration of social order, and we hope that influential countries, especially regional countries, will play a constructive role in stabilizing the situation in Syria. We express our grave concern over Israel's recent continued airstrikes against Syria and its entry into the Golan region, as well as its claim to expand settlements in the Golan. We call on Israel to stop these actions. Second, the long-term solution is to promote a political settlement. China supports Syria in implementing Security Council Resolution 2254, advancing its domestic political process in line with the Syrian-led and Syrian-owned principle, and finding a national reconstruction plan through inclusive dialogue. The international community should effectively safeguard Syria's independence, unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, respect Syria's ethnic and religious traditions, and allow the Syrian people to make their own decisions. The will of the Syrian people should be respected to avoid national division and the fragmentation of the domestic situation. China supports the active mediation role of the UN and supports the work of Special Envoy Pedersen in facilitating dialogue between all parties and reaching an arrangement that accommodates the interests of all sides. Third, the clear bottom line is the fight against terrorism. Terrorism, a common enemy of mankind, poses a severe threat to international peace and security. The Syria of the future should stand firm against any form of terrorism and extremist forces. The Syrian territory must not be used to support terrorism or threaten the security of other countries. On counterterrorism, states have an obligation to combat all terrorist organizations listed by the Security Council, including the ETIM or TIP. The international community should draw full lessons and refrain from double standards and selective application. Fourth, it's incumbent on all parties to alleviate the humanitarian situation. The drastic changes in the situation in Syria have exacerbated the already dire humanitarian situation. China appreciates the efforts made by UN agencies to resume humanitarian operations in Syria and calls on all parties to fulfill their obligations under IHL, ensure unimpeded humanitarian access, and facilitate the humanitarian operations of UN agencies. The international community should lend a helping hand to Syria to help improve its humanitarian situation. The protracted, unlawful unilateral sanctions imposed on Syria by some countries, which have severely hampered its economic and social development and caused tremendous harm to the Syrian people, should be lifted immediately. President, for more than a year since the outbreak of the Gaza conflict, the Middle East has witnessed relentless turmoil. Tensions have escalated in the Palestinian-Israeli, Lebanese-Israeli, Iraqi-Israeli, and Red Sea situations, coupled with the recent shift in the situation in Syria. The Middle East region is mired in constant turbulence and frequent conflicts, gravely affecting international peace and security. Such a situation, if left unchecked, will only drag more countries and peoples into the quagmire of war. The international community should work with a greater sense of urgency and responsibility to seek de-escalation of conflicts and promote the early return of peace and stability to the region. To that end, China supports the Council in speaking out as soon as possible on the situation in Syria, sending a positive signal of commitment to resolving the Syrian issue and reflecting its important role In conclusion, I wish to reiterate that as a strategic partner of the countries of the Middle East, China is ready to work with the international community to continue to make unremitting efforts to promote long-term stability in Syria and the restoration of peace and tranquility in the Middle East. Thank you, President.